But nonetheless, let's keep on talking about the We Need to Talk podcast.
Yeah.
So you're about, what, like 7 episodes in, maybe?
Tonight was episode 6.
Okay, episode 6.
We're 6 weeks in now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So, on the podcast, like, what do you feel like was your most challenging topic to date?
Challenging to date? I don't think anything was challenging. I think the most, because they're all topics that we all deal with every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love to talk. You know, I love talking.
Of course, yeah.
My channel's called K.O.A. Talk.
Yes.
This channel's called We Need to Talk.
Yes.
So I love talking. So none of them are challenging, but the most, I guess, relatable or heartfelt situation was the interracial relationships topic.
Mm-hmm.
That was last week's topic, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, episode 5. My friend sent me a message talking about him trying to pursue a relationship with a white girl.
Mm-hmm.
He's black, and, you know, that seems very normal to the normal person.
Yeah.
But there are also people out there who that's not normal to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still in their old ways, and they're still in the old-fashioned, you're a black guy, you need a black girl, and white people need to be white people, and Asian people need to be Asian people, which is absolutely ridiculous, especially in this year, 2017, and especially if you live in Toronto, which is one of the most multicultural places in the entire world.
We believed it. Like, you can't go anywhere. Like, you can go to a pizza store, you see, you know, an Indian person running that place. You go to a Jamaican store, could be an Asian person running that place for all you know. Yeah, so it's all over the place.
So that topic was pretty... It took me back a little bit because I was like, people still talk about race.
Yeah.
Like, I know racism still exists.
Yeah.
I'm not naive to that. But I didn't think it was still a thing where people would be like, can I date this white girl? Like, really? But, like, it actually is. To some people, they just don't talk about it because they're scared or they're nervous or what people are going to think. But someone hit me up really personally and be like, yo, like, I'm in a situation with this girl and I don't know if I should pursue it or not. And I kind of took upon myself to you know, break it down and make him realize how ridiculous that was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like when it comes to interracial dating as well, a lot of people have this stigma about it where you're going to look at as some sort of like an outcast or a sellout of sorts, basically.
To who?
And that's my thing right there, because at the end of the day, you're living your life for you, and if you just happen to be in love with a person who happens to be of a different complexion, whether or not they're lacking more or less melanin in their skin tone, then why does that matter? As long as you guys have that connection with one another, then all of that should be secondary.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, actually, you yourself are in an interracial relationship right now.
Correct.
And have you come across any barriers with that thus far?
The language barrier.
Okay.
Jokes aside.
Fair enough.
No, my girlfriend's Portuguese, so her family is Portuguese. She was born in Portugal. Her family is in Portugal, still there. So she's actually in Canada now. Her family, not a lot of them speak English. So when I had to meet them, I had no clue what they're saying.
Yeah.
But
I can only imagine.
But the thing that's amazing about that is love doesn't have a language, and when people care about you, you might understand what the person's saying, but you can understand the vibe.
Yeah.
The vibe is the same, it's universal. If someone cares about you, someone likes you, someone's trying. The family's definitely trying. The family, you know, they didn't speak the greatest English, but they tried their best to speak to me, and it was, I can understand it to the most part.
Yeah.
Her grandma spoke not a lick of English.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
She would just say stuff, I'd just smile. I'd be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, why are you dating a basketball player?
I mean, like, but you can, it's funny because even if you don't understand what someone's saying, you can tell based on their, you know, their body language or how their smile or their face, like, they're coming from a good place.
Yeah.
So I didn't even care if I understood what they're saying, what she's saying. Like, I knew it wasn't a bad thing.
Yes.
She's smiling, she's hugging me, like, I don't care if I understand what you're saying. I know it's love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's all about the action.
Yeah, the action, right? So and that's not, it wasn't necessarily a challenge to me, but it was the only barrier to the fact that, like this is what comes with it. Like I could just date someone who's English and just be like, oh, everything's normal, everything, and then there's no challenge, and it's what I'm used to, and you know what I mean. But when you go outside your barrier and you meet another person of a different race or different culture, like that not only grows you as a person, but it also allows you to learn. Like, too many people are so used to dating the same type of person. People like them. People, what they're used to. I'm black. I want black. I'm like, you're not expanding. Like, you have no new perspectives. You have no new ways of learning things. Like, you're just so in your ways, and that
exactly.
To grow, right?
You're almost becoming complacent in a sense.
Absolutely.
And not knocking anyone who wants to date within their own race. If that's what they're comfortable with, then so be it. But at the same time, like, don't turn a blind eye to the possibility of dating someone outside race, because you're experiencing life in a whole different sense. Like for me personally, I've always been all across the board.
Right.
I've dated Black, I've dated Latino, I've dated Indian. Like I've kind of done it all in a sense. My thing nowadays, because back when I was doing all of that, I felt like I dated one particular race at a time. It wasn't like I was like mixing it all together, so to speak.
Right.
But I feel like now that I'm in my later 20s, it's like, why am I going to let skin block me from a potential opportunity where I could learn and grow with somebody else who has similar qualities about me, but at the same time I can still learn about something that I didn't even know about, whether it be culture or globally or something in the sense. So I feel like a lot of people, and if you're in your 50s, whatever, fine, be stuck in your ways. It is what it is. You've lived your life. Yeah. But I feel like people who are coming up now, people who are born in like the late 80s or early 90s, so on and so forth, they should have a broadened sense of, wanting to expand on their horizons in that regard.
The way I look at things, which is pretty as raw as possible, is the people that look against or are turn a blind eye or are negative towards other races or cultures. Yeah. If you're that serious, go all in. Yes. If you're gonna be like, I don't want this person dating a white guy or white girl or white guy, like. If you don't want to date a certain race or certain thing based on whatever your personal reasons are, go all in. So fine. If you only want to date black, or if you're black and you want to date black, don't wear anything from any other race. Don't buy anything from any other race. Your car, your shoes, your clothing is from China, from Indonesia. Only buy black. Only buy things made by. If you want to go full in. If like. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't half-ass and be like, oh, I'm going to wear this from China, I'm going to wear this from Indonesia, I'm going to buy this from India, but I'm not going to date an Indian or like... Exactly. So you're going to take their shit, but you're not going to... Yeah. Go full in.
You know what? And those are the same people who call out cultural appropriation from left to right. It's like, you dating a white girl? Oh, you doing this? It's like... Yeah, and so you're for the white man now, huh? You want to buy their products and everything? I was like, but that weave in your head, it doesn't mimic anything about black culture. So what are we talking about right now?
White. So your boss is white. You quit.
Yeah,
quit because he's white.
Exactly.
Like, shut up. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
If you want to be full racial, like, go all in then.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
you know what it is. I feel like people are very opportunistic in that regard. I feel like they pick and choose their spots essentially. So like they'll argue something that they feel like they have something advantageous towards you, but then when they backpedal a little bit and realize that what they're saying may kind of counter their argument in a sense, then they'll be quick to backpedal and just kind of sound like a hypocrite in what they're saying, basically, because the same logic can be used against them. And then it almost sounds like they're using an alternative facts argument in that same regard, right?
People like to use things when it's favorable for their experience.
Of course, yeah. And I always say this all the time when it comes to these types of arguments. I always say...
and I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to make this religious.
Yeah. But it's the same with the Bible.
Oh, yeah, of course. I
don't want to bring religion into this because that's a completely
different story. That's a different chasm altogether.
Beast.
Yeah.
But it's the same with the Bible.
Yeah.
You're like, the Bible says this, but you fucked yesterday.
Exactly.
But that's... Listen, if you want...
It's in the Old Testament.
Right? Come on. Like, don't pick and choose when it benefits you.
Exactly. And I always say that. Like, I always tell people, if you want equality, go for equality all the way in. Don't pick and choose what suits your narrative the best at that moment in time. For example, and you've talked about this already on your podcast, but I feel like the need to say it because I've been talking about this since God knows when. Yeah. When it comes to paying on the first date, for example, I always say that I prefer not to, because at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm going to see you again. Like that, you could decide within the first 5 minutes of us going on a date whether or not you want to see me again, and I have no control over that.
When you said this, you choose not to pay for them or for yourself?
No, for them. So,
okay.
Yeah, for them.
I'm not gonna pay for shit.
Yeah, no. Okay. I said no. I always say to people, I prefer just to go half. I go mine, you go yours, or I'll cover one portion of the date, you cover the other portion of the date. Because at the end of the day, we live in a society where we always preach about equality, this, equality, that. Yeah. A lot of women like to preach equality as well, but then there's some women out there who only preach equality when it best fits their narrative. Yes. And I feel like sometimes I bump into those women who will say, yeah, equal pay for women, this and that. I'm like, okay, what about paying for the first date? Oh, he has to do all that because he's the gentleman. I'm just like, okay, but do you know where that term comes from? It's very antiquated. It's like, well, it's all about chivalry. I'm like, yeah, but do you know that chivalry was used to hold women back, right? But then here you are preaching equality. But hey.
Oh no, that can stay. That
Yeah,
can stay.
exactly. Exactly.
I want us to work, but
exactly.
That can stay.
Exactly. So chivalry and male patriarchy is pretty good when it comes to that. But everything else is bad. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna just sip my tea to that because I ain't none of my business. Jeez, man. So when it comes to all that, it's like I can't take certain people seriously after that point. Like once I expose that flaw, then I'm like, okay, we can't talk.
Right.
Like we don't need to talk after this because we've spoken enough.
Right.